Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain. And there actually was rain yesterday, last night, this morning, something like that. And I just had a cup of coffee and I ran out. So I am technically missing two of the three things right now. That is my bad because I should have saved my coffee instead of working on a couple other things that I had when I got off work. However, it was all hot and fresh still in my percolator, so I went ahead and poured it up. And then I was like, "Oh wait, I need to do a little bit of recording." And then I was out of coffee. Could I have made a pot of decaf? Absolutely. Did I think about that until right now? No. But anyway, we are moving right along in November. It has been already a little bit of a roller coaster of a November. So, however you view your November, I hope you are feeling as okay as you can with it. I am trying to stick my nose into a lot of books and live inside whatever fantasy realms I can. Even though I gotta go do my day job Monday through Friday, usually from about 7 until about 3, sometimes 3:30-ish or so. I then come home, try to get a workout, try to cuddle my puppies as much as possible, and then stick my nose into books and those sorts of things. Do a lot of crafting in order to keep my mind pretty flexible. I love doing things with my hands. I do talk a lot with my hands, as you see on this channel pretty frequently. So I don't know if any of that kind of would help any of you all. I did see on, I think it was Instagram earlier, this person was doing this beautiful embroidery. They had this blackish blue fabric and they were using silvers and golds, making this really beautiful kind of star and moon pattern. And that may be something that I go and try to attempt this weekend. I have a Hobby Lobby or a Michael's down the street. I may go find some embroidery floss in some sort of metallic, find some fabric, get a couple of crochet or cross stitch kind of rings, and see what it takes to start trying to figure out what it is to embroider. So I have not tried that before. I do a lot of watercolors, acrylics. In no way am I actually good at it, but it is just fun, crafty things that I do with my free time because it's an outlet for me. I am a collector of those sorts of hobbies. But let us dive into our first book today. And today's first book is actually the fourth in a series. I do think I have covered one other book in this series, which was book 3 in this series. So we are going to talk about The Legacy of Arniston House. I believe Dunvegan Castle was the one that came right before this. And so it is called The Edinburgh Night number 4. So T.L. Huchu is the author, and I have actually read all 4 of these books so far. There is definitely another one coming after this. The way this book ended, there is still things yet to be resolved. So though things in this book still leave on kind of a tense moment, it is still very good. I really like following Ropa, who is the main character of this book, as she is still coming into her powers pretty and we start to really see it in this book a little more so than some of the other books. In some of the other books, she is a little bit more hesitant. She is still learning a lot of things, and she is younger. She is still young in this book as well, but she is starting to gain confidence in some of her abilities as well. And so let's just dive into the summary and let's see what we think. Ghost talker and magician Ropa returns in this spellbinding fourth installment of the Edinburgh Nights series by T.L. Huchu. Alluring hints of sophisticated academic magic will draw you in, says Olivia Blake, author of the Atlas 6 on the Library of the Dead, Ghost talker Ropa. On the Library of the Dead. I believe Library of the Dead is book number 1. Ghost talker Ropa learns a shocking truth about her family. But after she confronts her grandmother with a revelation, Gran is murdered. And Ropa is now the prime suspect on top of dealing with her loss. Ropa races to uncover the real murderer and soon finds a connection to an old magical cult. They are trying to take control of Scotland by resurrecting an army of the dead, led by the Dark Lord, not the A. She'll have to use all her magic and hard-won skills in her biggest challenge yet. Praise for the Edinburgh Nights series, fast-moving and entertaining, stupendously engaging, says Ben Aronovich, I think is what it is. I've read a couple of his books as well. I think I have 1 or 2 on my shelves. Author of the Rivers of London series, which is really good. And then Charlene Harris says, I highly recommend the Library of the Dead. She wrote the Sookie Stackhouse series, but she also wrote a lot of other books. My personal opinion, just from Charlene Harris, is that I actually love some of her other series more than the Sookie Stackhouse series, but that's my personal preference. I think some of her other series are actually way more captivating for me. But that's neither here nor there. But that's, again, this is my channel. I guess I can say what I want to with regards to books. I like Charlene Harris. I have a lot of her books on my shelves. But Sookie Stackhouse actually takes like lesser precedent than some of her other ones. The Legacy of Arniston House, in my personal opinion, is a little bit more YA, even though they do have some curse words. I feel as though the content does run a little more on the YA side of things. Just with regards to the writing style, with regards to the character and what they go through, YA feels more like where I would place this. It says fantasy, and I would say that's probably correct-ish, but urban fantasy is probably a little bit more accurate. We do have, it is kind of like Edinburgh, Scotland, is like Scotland in general is where a lot of this takes place. So there is a real life location. Sometimes in fantasy realms, we have a fantastical place, a fae realm that we have to travel to, or some sort of completely made up location. So urban fantasy, sometimes it's like the underworld of Chicago or a flip side of London. So this is not a flip side of Scotland in any respect, but this is a magical society found within Scotland. I did have the audiobook of this, and I thought it was pretty well done. I like the kind of accent. It was very, very fun in my personal opinion. I actually really like people with accents. I love hearing the words and intonations from, like, especially when the author writes it in a certain dialect. I love hearing it from a narrator who also tries to intone it and kind of, if the narrator is of that particular, I guess, region, then I really enjoy it usually, and I did enjoy this as well. Now, at one point or another, they do say this is dystopia, and I'm trying to think if this is considered dystopia, and I guess in a way it could be, because I don't really know if this is supposed to be set in some sort of kind of like not too distant future when something has changed in our society, but I'm not sure. But it feels like it could happen nowish, just urban fantasy. So just throwing that out there. But again, when it comes to these sorts of summaries, if you hear my puppy over there fussing at me, he's had his after I got home walk, he's had his after walk snack. Now he's fussing at me because he probably wants attention, which he's already had quite like an hour and a half of just me like playing with them on the floor, playing with them on the bed. Um, Again, getting off topic of the book, but Argos is over there like looking at me and fussing. But really good book. This one has a bit more action than some of the other books that I have encountered within this series, and it feels like at one point or another it really, really starts to snowball, especially towards the second half. I felt like towards the beginning it was a little bit slower. I wasn't certain what we were building up towards. The very first thing that kind of happens is that Ropa is supposedly going to apprentice with the magician royal of, I think, England. And this guy, he really seems to only have loyalties to England itself, perhaps, but he doesn't seem to want to help anybody in Scotland. So when Ropa needs help, when Scotland itself needs help, when the wizards of Scotland or like the magicians of Scotland need help, he's like, well, he sees it as a sign of weakness and he more or less walks away. So I don't like him as a general person, but I felt like the summary that we just read on Goodreads tells you too much. Again, I do not like when summaries tell me things that happen towards the middle of the book. And when the summary tells us, the reader, that the grandmother is murdered, we don't find that out until about halfway through the book, after a lot of things have happened. And so I feel like that's almost a spoiler in itself, or maybe we should have moved that up in the storyline or something. Because I feel like we should have, we should have made something else a priority in the summary with regards to that. That's just my personal opinion. But there is a dark cult. Things have to be prevented in order to pretty much save Scotland, it sounds like. And things are not fully resolved by the end of this book. There is still a lot to do by the time the ending pages happen in this particular book. I am very eager to see what happens in the next book. I do not know if book number 5 will be the final installment or if we will still be continuing to follow Ropa's journey and to see what else happens to her. I would love to know if this Magician Royal or what have you is going to be of any good at all in the future, because right now I'm not sure why he's even present in the pages. We do have a couple of Priya is back, who is like really Ropa's best friend. Jomo is back, but we could throw him under the bus, and I'm not going to tell you why. We've got a couple other people back. Calendar is back, and Calendar's husband is back. There are quite a few important people who have shown up in the other books who are, of course, back in this one as well. And I think it's going to take a lot of them, if not all of them, to put things right as we come to kind of the culmination of events. Again, I do not know if book number 5 is where we're going to see all of this come to a head, but I'm pretty excited. Lots of magic, some political intrigue showing up as well. And Ropa is really starting to learn how to control her anxiety. That's been a bit of a crippling thing for her. Still, she's learning how to deal with it. Not fully there yet, but again, anxiety is a very hard thing to kind of be present in and be able to kind of work through. So, again, she's doing a great job. And let's see what happens in the future. And I hope you guys like this review. If you like it, hope you'll subscribe, stick around to the next one. Let me know what else you're reading. What are you reading in the future? Do you have something coming up? What are you reading right now? All of that fun stuff. And until next time, thank you so much for being here, being with me, and I'll see you guys on the next page. I hope you have a great one.